Hey everyone, Mariska here. In the previous video, which is linked above, we saw how to use freeride mode to train on MyWhoosh. Today we'll use a race to show another way to train. The first 21 minutes are dedicated to warming up and preparing for the start. For this warm-up I'm using MyWhoosh, which is an option within MyWhoosh to ride in a group with bots. The group I chose rides at about 2.1 watts per kg, which corresponds roughly to my zone 2. Perfect for warming up without jumping into the race completely cold. Just like in freeride, warming up is essential before entering continuous effort, especially because this race will demand about 25 minutes in zone 4, or approximately 15.5 kilometers of riding. The ideal is always to plan ahead. Using the MyWhoosh calendar, we can choose the events we'll participate in and join at least 30 minutes before. That way there's time to warm up, adjust the bike, and position yourself calmly for the start. Before the race begins, let's talk about some systems we didn't cover in the previous video. One of them is draft, or slipstream, which you can take from another athlete. Riding behind someone significantly reduces air resistance and helps save energy, making it a great strategy and essential in races. On this map it shows wind strength and direction. The wind can be an ally or an obstacle. It can help in a breakaway or hinder you if it's against. That's why during the race it's crucial to pay attention to this indicator when enabled on the map you're racing on. Notice the power that appears in the white bar above. When I'm in another athlete's slipstream, it changes to green. In addition, arrows appear on the right side, 1, 2, or 3, indicating how strong the draft is. Learning to stay in the slipstream makes all the difference in a race, because you can conserve a lot of energy by letting another athlete break the wind for you. One of the big advantages of MyWhoosh is that you don't need to worry about monitoring the exact moment of the start. After registering for the race, the bottom bar of the screen clearly shows how much time is left before it begins. Even better, you can join directly from there without leaving the warm-up. This makes preparation much more practical, because you can warm up calmly, stay focused, and enter the race at the right moment without stress. Nice. After all this information, let's fast forward the warm-up so you don't get bored waiting, and can already follow how one of the races works inside MyWhoosh. Before we go to the race, we need to quickly talk about the ranks within the platform, or categories. They are Club, Sport, Expert, New Pro, Pro, and Pro Elite. To make it easier, I'll put an image on the screen, and you can pause the video to better understand what each category means and where you would be placed. What's cool is that you'll always be ranked against people in the same category, which makes the events much fairer. Well, as the event approaches, I always like to connect a little earlier. This ensures that if something goes wrong with my device or the internet, I have time to reconnect without missing the race. Notice we still have 4 minutes left to finish warming up. Thinking about the race, it's important to remember that one of the most decisive things is to start very strong right at the beginning, so you don't lose the group. Remember I said slipstream is fundamental. If you lose it at the start, you'll need to make a much greater effort to maintain the same speed. That happens because in these races the categories all start together, and separation only happens at the end. At the start I increase power to around 300 watts, but unfortunately it's not enough and people shoot ahead of me. I try again, raising it to about 400 watts to catch the slipstream of those coming faster from behind. This effort puts me directly into zone 6 and it's impossible to sustain that for more than a few seconds without compromising the whole race. So, as soon as I reach cruising speed that I know I can maintain for a while, I reduce power and focus on finding athletes who will race more or less within my category. That's when strategy starts to make the difference. There's no point trying to keep up with those way above. The ideal is to position yourself with the right group to maintain consistency until the end. Right after the start, 2 people catch up to me. I try to hold firmly in their slipstream, but the panel on the right shows they're putting out watts per kilo way above what I can sustain. It would be crazy to try to follow that pace even in the slipstream, so at that moment the best strategy is to recognize the limit, maintain consistency, and focus on finding the right group to follow without compromising performance. When someone approaches, the idea is to increase power, gain a bit of speed, and as soon as they pass, you can stay in their slipstream and rest a little. To know if someone is coming, you have two options. Look at the panel on the right and track the time gap between you and those behind. Or use the cameras to position the view so you can see the approach. This camera function is also very useful near the finish if you want to watch the moment your opponent will attempt the final sprint. That's exactly what I do now. With 3 new riders approaching, I increase speed and try to stay connected to them. Notice the slingshot effect that happens. One rider opens more distance than I'd like and we need to chase him. But riding alone to catch someone is extremely exhausting, especially with headwind. So I use another participant to catch the slipstream, gain speed, and overtake him like a slingshot. Then he does the same tactic, enters my slipstream, gains speed, and passes me. We repeat this a few times, taking advantage of each other's slipstream, until we get closer to the rider ahead without exhausting ourselves too much. Unfortunately, even using this technique, I end up losing them from sight. I'll have to try again with the next rider. And that rider doesn't take long to appear. My Italian friend is right behind, and he seems to be at my level today. We take turns a few times in each other's slipstream. But maybe due to my lack of experience, we still can't fully exploit this strategy to catch the 3 who passed us. Notice that everything that's happened so far has been just 2 laps of the circuit. Speaking of the circuit, it's a short loop of just under 3 kilometers. Right after the start there's a slight climb. But for me, being a heavier rider, this part is quite exhausting. I need to work much harder than lighter athletes, but I still manage to hold position and keep pace. Since I'm not a good sprinter, and I don't know if my Italian friend is or not, I need to focus on tiring him enough so that in the final sprint we have equal chances. Otherwise, everything I've done so far could go down the drain. So I start pushing harder and harder, but still following the idea of using his slipstream to rest at the right moments. My heart rate is at 165 beats per minute, which puts me in a high effort zone, but still below my lactate threshold. That means I can hold this effort for some time. But as the laps go by, notice how my heart rate starts climbing higher and higher, showing accumulated fatigue. And here we enter the last lap. The tactic of tiring our Italian friend seems to have worked. Gradually I start opening a few seconds of advantage, and that's enough to take away his slipstream. Now if he wants to follow me, he'll have to work much harder, spending energy he may not have saved for the end. But don't think it's easy for me. My legs are no longer responding like before. They feel heavy, each pedal stroke seems to carry extra weight, and lactic acid starts to really bother me. It's that burning sensation inside, as if the body is begging to stop. The brain at this moment is the biggest enemy. It screams desperately to quit and ease the effort. But that's where the power of competition comes in. It's not just about pedaling, it's about overcoming that mental barrier. Racing against the Italian gives me extra motivation, makes me go beyond what I would in a structured workout. And that's the big difference in MyWhoosh events. When you're competing, there's a healthy pressure that pushes you to give more than you think you can. It's as if each opponent were a mirror, showing how far you can go. Still, I know I need to manage this last lap well. If I spend everything now, I could lose in the final sprint. So even with my body begging for rest, I stay focused, control my breathing, and try to find that balance between strength and endurance. By the way, speaking of effort and control, soon we'll talk about the structured workouts within the app, which help a lot in preparing the body and mind for moments like this. We're finishing the climb for the last time. My heart rate is practically at the limit, reaching close to 190 beats per minute. It's the maximum I can sustain, and I know that if there were another lap, I would certainly break. This shows that I managed to pace very well in each lap, managing the effort to take the race to the limit, exactly as was the idea of today's training. Each climb was a test of endurance, each straight a challenge of strategy, and now, in the last lap, everything comes down to holding on until the end. Even though it's not necessary, with only 200 meters left, I decide to make a final sprint. It's almost a symbolic gesture, a way to prove to myself that I still have energy left. I raise the power to just over 500 watts and immediately feel the bike respond. My heart races even more. My legs burn as if they're on fire, but the sensation of speed makes up for all the accumulated fatigue. It's that moment when you forget the pain and focus only on the finish line. With this sprint, I close the race, opening almost 20 seconds of advantage over the Italian. A significant difference achieved not only through brute force, but through the strategy of dosing energy, using the slipstream at the right moments, and choosing when to attack. This personal victory shows how MyWhoosh can realistically simulate the intensity of a race. It's not just about pedaling, it's about thinking, planning, and resisting, and above all, learning to deal with your own limits, both physical and mental.